Look, I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you. As much as I enjoy watching the Cinnamon Rolls lose every single weekend, and trust me, I think I enjoy it more than anybody else, it's getting to the point where they are so bad it's not even funny. In the midst of one of the greatest college football games you're ever going to see in your lifetime, there was a team from Florida that goes by the name of the Cinnamon Rolls that was getting their eyes beat in. Florida State heading into the SMU game was in the same position as a kid who gets bullied in high school. Early in the season, they got a good old-fashioned wet willy by Georgia Tech. After that, Boston College gave them a wedgie. Memphis proceeded to give them a swirly. And then SMU, they did all those three things combined. They gave them the trifecta, and although I don't advocate for bullying, it's a terrible thing. This is one of the rare case and scenarios where I don't mind it. I say rare case and scenarios. It is the only scenario where it's acceptable. Them getting bullied is such a great analogy because most people are thinking, oh yeah, eventually they're going to stand up to their bullies, but they haven't. I guess they haven't had enough of it. And on a serious note, let's get down to business and let's talk about this game. Now, I ain't going to hold you. I knew the game was ongoing during the Georgia-Alabama game, but I didn't pay attention to it. I checked in on it from time to time, but I didn't wind up rewatching it until Sunday morning when I watch all my film and get ready for the Sunday recap. There was just no way I was even going to be checking in on the Florida State and SMU game when you got Alabama and Georgia going at it. That just wasn't going to happen, but I did watch it Sunday morning and yikes. That's the best word to say. Yikes. You see the final score, I'll show it to you right here. 42-16. Although that looks really bad, sometimes scores can be deceiving and they don't paint the picture perfectly. 80% of the time, a score does paint the picture fine, but the other 20%, no, it doesn't. Same thing with Alabama, Georgia. If you just saw the box score, the stats and numbers, and you saw Alabama won 41-34, you would have thought it was back and forth all night long, but it wasn't. With this game, though, there's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind. The final score, it tells you everything you need to know, and it does paint the picture perfectly. SMU just blew them out. Let's take a look at some of the team stats before I just rag on these guys. I want to give you a perspective. DJ Ugabadoogie, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the biggest scam artist in all of America when it comes to NIL, didn't even complete 50% of his passes. Shocker, right? 12 for 30. Abysmal. 222 yards. That's okay. 2 touchdowns. But 3, count them, not 1, not 2, but 3 INTs. A QBR, one of the lowest, not the lowest we've talked about on the channel, but one of the lowest you're ever going to see. 13.2. That man sucked. He was hot garbage. Are you shocked? Well, you shouldn't be. I've been calling him Oogabadoogie since he was at Clemson for a reason. For games like this. I've been saying this past couple weeks and I believe it. Ugabadoogie is the scapegoat for Mike Norvell. But I've started to see some other Florida State fans come around these past couple weeks, and they're actually pointing the finger at Norvell, and it's about time. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know this. I was ragging on FSU last year when they were undefeated. I tried telling y'all, Mike Norvell isn't that great of a coach, and it's not that good of a team. Yes, they went undefeated, and they were good last year. I'll give them that. Although I know I just said they weren't really that good. I'm talking about when their quarterback went down. When they had Jordan Travis, that was a really good team. They weren't great, in my opinion. They were really good. But as soon as Jordan Travis went down, I remember the day. I dropped him from like number 4 or 5 of my rankings to, I think it was number 14 or 15. Everybody's like, holy crap, Matt. We dropped 10 spots. We're ranked 14 in the country, in your opinion, because we lost our quarterback? And yes, you are. I tried telling you, this team and program is not that good. And people called me crazy. They hated on me. It is what it is. You're entitled to your own opinion. Well, now you're starting to see it this year, and everybody's starting to turn the page and go, oh, yeah, maybe old Matt was right about this. But getting back on track here, like I was saying, it's not just Oogabadoogie, it's the team. Their offensive line, trash. Their running backs, not very good. Their wide receivers, they're okay. I'm not going to call their defense trash because they've been the bright spot on this team. Although there's not a lot of bright spots, they have been that one shining light you can point towards. But they're not anything special. They're average at best. And I have a hard time even saying they're average at best, but I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt there. But I will say confidently, the defense ain't trash, so let's not get too crazy. I know they looked rough against SMU, but outside of that, they've been okay. Here's another reason why Ugabadoogie struggles, because Florida State can't run the football. They had 63 rushing yards against SMU, and last time I checked, SMU isn't known as being some lockdown defensive monstrous team on the front 7, and they averaged 2.4 yards per carry. To go on top of that for the entire day, you had 285 total yards of offense, 13 first downs. On third down, you was 3 for 12. On fourth down, over 2. It was pitiful on offense. It really was, and that's all there is to be said about it. Defense, like I said, SMU did kind of run away with it at the end, but overall for the entire season, not bad. Getting that SMU game out the way, let's talk about this. This year so far, the season's not even halfway over, you've lost to Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis, and SMU. None of these teams you've lost to are ranked. So it's not like Florida State's in the SEC playing Missouri, Ole Miss. I know Ole Miss lost, but saw a ball club. Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, teams like that. If you were 1-4 playing those teams, Mike could overlook it. But you haven't even played a ranked team. And here's the crazier part about it. In 3 of these losses to not good teams, you essentially kind of got blown out and didn't even have a chance to win. That Boston College game was never in doubt for Boston College. And I know Memphis, it was 20-12. Florida State had a Hail Mary at the end, but that game was never in doubt either. And of course, last night SMU gives them the trifecta, the swirly, the wet willy, and the wedgie, and just completely embarrasses them. Fortunately enough for the Seminoles, I was too locked in on the Alabama-Georgia game to even do a reaction video, and you're lucky I didn't do a reaction video because I would have lit you up. But guess what? Since we didn't do that, I'll light you up now. No big deal. And oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to talk about this game in the Week 5 recap. One of you commented, Matt forgot to roast FSU for losing 42-16 to SMU. And yes, I did. You're 100% right. That's on me. My apologies. I just completely forgot to talk about them in the recap. This isn't an excuse. It's my fault, but I was having some major Wi-Fi issues all day yesterday. I was actually just fortunate to get the videos uploaded, so I'll chalk it up to since I was dealing with the Wi-Fi issues. That's why I forgot to talk about the game. And that comment enticed me to make this video because I said, you know what? Since we didn't talk about them in the recap, we need to make our own separate video talking about them, and here we are. So shout out to Go Blue for saying that, and thanks for reminding me. We've talked about this the past couple of weeks, but one of my newly favorite discovered hobbies is watching Florida State lose. I can't get enough of it. I love it. I think I actually enjoy watching Florida State lose more than my team, Alabama, win. When my team wins, it's more of a sigh of relief because we're the gold standard. We're supposed to win, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but I'm used to winning since I go for Alabama. But when Florida State loses, I get a jolt of energy and happiness. It's like a feeling I can't even describe. It makes my Saturday, I wouldn't say 5 times better, but probably 2 times better when Florida State loses. And it's not because I hate the program, I hate the players, I hate the head coach. I don't hate anybody in life. I think it just has to do with everything that went on last year leading up to the playoff. I think it has something to do with I just didn't like their approach when they didn't make the playoff. They just felt like they were too good to play in a quote-unquote meaningless bowl game against Georgia. But in reality, it shouldn't be meaningless for y'all because you're acting like you're Alabama or Georgia where it's championship or bust. You're Florida State. I can't remember the last time they won a championship. And the craziest part about it, I remember like it was yesterday talking about all this playoff stuff, it baffled me that Florida State fans, the team and the program, actually thought they were one of the best 4 teams. You barely skimmed past Florida and Louisville. Your quarterback couldn't even throw a 10-yard slant route, and you thought you were one of the best 4 teams in the country? It wasn't even close. Y'all know this. I had Florida State at the end of the season before the Georgia game. They were undefeated. I had them ranked like number 10 or 11. That was as high as I had them in my rankings. I thought Georgia got snubbed from the playoffs, if anybody. But I digress. I'm just telling you why I kind of enjoy watching them lose now, and I think other people do as well. But getting back on track with this current team, I do apologize for getting a little sidetracked. There's a reason they suck so much, and it's fairly simple. I said this last year about Keon Coleman, and it applies to this situation. Do you really think with all those transfer guys they got last year, like Keon Coleman, and I'm just using him as a reference and example, do you really think Coleman actually cared about the Florida State football program? Do you really think he cared about the school, university, etc.? Heck to the no. He viewed Florida State as a stepping stone in his career. That's it. He could care less. Whereas on the flip side, the gold standard of college football, Alabama, those players that play on the team, that have been playing on the team since Saban was there and now at DeBoer, they actually care about the university and program. There's a reason all these Alabama players in the NFL still to this day come back to the university to drop off care packages or just support the team or do anything like that. At Florida State, you're just not going to see that. If it does happen, it's not a lot. Alabama football players genuinely care about Alabama. Jalen Milroe is the biggest Alabama fan out there. He loves the program. He's dedicated to it. He's given his life to it. Another good example, and I know it seems like I'm ranting and raving on Alabama, but they're the gold standard. They're what Florida State thought they were last year. Alabama currently has a backup quarterback that goes by the name of Ty Simpson. He is arguably one of the better backup quarterbacks in the entire country, and he could have easily transferred and been a starter somewhere. He has now been the backup for multiple years, and you know why he hasn't left? he told people this isn't me saying it, I'm not coming up with some crazy conclusion. He told people he wants to play quarterback at Alabama because he loves the university. Alabama players, Georgia players, Ohio State players, they care about their program, which equates to winning football. These past 3 years when Ohio State has lost to Michigan, it has devastated those players. It crushes them. I say that to say this. If Florida State loses to Florida this year, those players won't care. It means nothing, absolutely nothing. And you know what that means, right? It's where I'm going with this. Leads me to my next point perfectly. They have a culture problem. Do they also have a quarterback problem? Absolutely. Nobody rags on Oogabadoogie more than me, myself, and I. And I don't enjoy ragging on him. He seems like a great man outside of football. He just ain't a good quarterback. Looking ahead, though, let's take a look at the Cinnamon Roll schedule. I haven't even seen it. I would like to assume it can only get more difficult since you haven't played a ranked team this up-and-coming weekend. Okay, here we go. Finally, a real test. I say a real test like they've been winning, but you get what I'm trying to say. Clemson. After that, you got Duke. That ain't going to be an easy game either. Then you got Miami. Okay, these next 3 games, because North Carolina sucks, yeah. They'll probably lose them all. If you lose the next 3, and there's a great chance it happens, you start out 1-7. After that, you got Notre Dame. Nobody's going to pick Florida State to win that one. You got Charleston Southern. You should beat them, but who knows? And then you got Florida, the battle of the bad. Not even the battle of the mid, the battle of the bad. Look, I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you. As much as I enjoy watching the Cinnamon Rolls lose every single weekend, and trust me, I think I enjoy it more than anybody else, it's getting to the point where they are so bad, it's not even funny. For example, when they lost those first couple games, we were all like, ha, look at Florida State, point, laugh at them. They thought they were going to be a top 25 team. They thought they were going to make the playoff, and they lost to Georgia Tech and Memphis and Boston College. Everyone point and laugh. But now, after seeing them get blown out against SMU, everybody's like, hey, did you hear the news? Florida State lost by 20. And what's our reaction? So, what about it? They suck. I already know that. And that's what I'm talking about. It's getting to a point where I think haters are actually going to start rooting for them. We're now heading into this Clemson, Duke, and Miami matchup going, shoot, man, I just hope they can keep it close so I can watch some competitive football. We ain't even talk about this because there's no need to because it doesn't matter. But the worst part about it is you can't even fire Norvell. And that's why I'm not talking about it, because you can't do it. His contract's too big. They just signed him to a mega extension. The more I think about it, Mike Norvell, a terrible person. He's just like Oogabadoogie, scamming people for money. But I ain't going to hold you. Paying DJ Oogabadoogie what they did with the NIL money and bringing him in, I can't feel sorry for you because we knew what he was at Clemson. You can say, okay, Norvell finessed us, but you can't say Oogabadoogie did because we knew who he was. There's many more things I could say. I'll end it off here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But